In 1980, the largest technology corporation on Earth needed an operating system for their new personal computers. Instead of building it themselves, they outsourced the software rights for their entire future product line to a 25-year-old college dropout. That young man was Bill Gates, and the contract he secured with IBM came with a specific, overlooked detail. He didn't actually own the software he was selling them. The narrative we usually hear about this moment focuses entirely on intellect and grit. We are told about a relentless coder who worked day and night, whose sheer technical talent outmatched everyone else in the room. The talent and the work ethic are certainly real, but focusing exclusively on his genius leaves out a crucial part of the equation. It hides a deeply entrenched support system that cleared the obstacles from his path long before he ever sat down at a negotiation table. The standard telling starts in Seattle in 1967. An 8th grader gets his hands on a teletype Model 33 terminal, connects to a massive mainframe over phone lines, and spends hours mesmerized by the possibilities of programming. From there, the timeline moves quickly. He scores a 1590 on his SATs, enrolls at Harvard University, and then leaves school to build his own software company. Microsoft goes on to supply the operating systems for personal computers across the globe. He guides the company through a successful IPO and holds the title of the wealthiest person on Earth for nearly 2 decades. We repeat this sequence of events to inspire entrepreneurs, suggesting anyone with enough passion can follow the same path. But treating this as a replicable blueprint requires ignoring the hidden advantages that made his specific journey possible. Let's look closely at that 1968 starting line in Seattle. The Computer Center Corporation was one of the few places offering commercial computing, and renting time on those machines cost $40 an hour. That was a staggering barrier to entry for almost any family. When Gates and his friends couldn't afford the fees, they searched the operating system for bugs and used those loopholes to get free screen time. Instead of facing criminal charges or a permanent ban when they were caught, the company offered to let them use the computers for free in exchange for identifying more flaws. As he transitioned from teenager to CEO, his safety net expanded. His father was a prominent lawyer. That meant registering the business, navigating office leases, and waging early legal battles over software rights were handled with professional legal counsel at an arm's reach. Even the decision to leave college was insulated from danger. When Gates offered a permanent job to Monte Davidoff, a programmer who wrote crucial code for their early software, Davidoff declined. His father ran a small hardware store, and he did not have the familial wealth to risk abandoning his degree. Taking the leap into a startup is drastically different when a safety net is waiting at the bottom. Gates is operating with a socioeconomic insurance policy that ensured he would never face financial ruin if Microsoft failed. By 1980, Microsoft was still a relatively small operation. When IBM began searching for an operating system for their upcoming personal computer, the obvious choice was an established giant called Digital Research, but IBM was having trouble negotiating with them. It just so happened that Bill's mother, Mary Maxwell Gates, served on the board of the United Way alongside John Opel, the chairman of IBM. She spoke to Opel about her son's startup, and shortly after, IBM decided to give Microsoft a chance. There was one immediate problem with this opportunity. Microsoft did not have an operating system to offer. To fulfill the contract, co-founder Paul Allen went to a local company called Seattle Computer Products and bought the rights to their software, QDOS. The Microsoft team made a few modifications to QDOS, changed the name to MS-DOS, and delivered it to IBM. The MS-DOS acquisition was a masterclass in exploiting insider leverage. Microsoft secured their defining contract through direct access to corporate leadership that no outside competitor could replicate. This grid represents the demographic realities of America in the 1960s, a population of roughly 200 million people. Looking at this data reveals exactly how narrow the path to tech dominance actually was. Half of that population faced institutional roadblocks. Women were barred from entering many Ivy League universities, and it was entirely legal for banks to refuse them credit cards without a husband's signature. The infrastructure of the tech race actively excluded them. Millions of Black Americans were living under segregation. While Gates was spending his summers debugging code in a private Seattle facility, leaders of the civil rights movement were being assassinated just for demanding the right to eat in restaurants or vote. Even among white men, access to early computing was restricted by wealth. When Gates touched his first terminal in 1965, there were only about 22,000 computers in the entire United States. Before the starting gun even fired, society had eliminated 99% of the population from ever competing in this arena. When confronted with these built-in advantages, people often point to the outliers. They use figures who started with nothing and reached the top, like Oprah Winfrey or Barack Obama, to argue that the playing field is entirely even. But relying on extreme outliers to evaluate a system is a logical flaw. The fact that a few individuals possessed the extraordinary resilience required to overcome immense friction does not erase the fact that the friction exists for everyone else. They are the